everybody, it's Susie with Susie's Crochet Chat. This is the place where we talk about yarn, hooks, tips, tricks, and everything in between. And crochet. I forgot that. A couple weeks ago, I did a video and I talked about hooks. And I talked about inline hooks and I talked about tapered hooks. The two types of hooks that there are. And as I said in that video, hooks, it's a personal preference. None is better than the other. It's your choice. What you like to use. And that's all it is. Anything in a craft is a personal choice or what in a preference. Just want to put that out there. Last week, I talked about yarn weights. And we went into that. And if you missed that video, you can find that here. Just look it up, or the other one. Today we're going to talk about hooks and what yarn weight goes generally with what hook. Just to give you an idea. You know, this, like I had said, this channel really is for the beginner. And if you're beginning, starting out, you might be a little confused on what to use because there's so many hooks. You want to buy the right hook size or something close to. There is no right and wrong, like I said, but the hook size is going to be right for you. So I'm going to start with the smallest hook and the lightest weight of yarn, and we're going to move up. So the small, the thin yarn, the threads, it's not even yarn, it's thread, lace, light fingering weights, the 0 weight yarn, the size, those hooks, they're usually a steel hook, and they're very small. I have this set. I've never yeah, I don't even know if I've used these. Maybe once. Because I don't usually use this thin of thread or yarn. I don't do a lot with that. But you can make jewelry and things. Or lace. Shawls. Things like that can be done. I just don't usually do it. The Aunt Lydia's. That's the thinnest thread I've ever used. There are thinner. So these hook sizes could be for the thinner, so to speak. But we're going to talk, this is a 0 weight yarn. And the size hook that's recommended for this is 1.5 millimeters to 2.25 millimeters. Now, just because it says that does not mean that is the only hook you could use. There's always a little give or take the other up or down. So, like the very smallest hook I have is a 0.75. I think there must be a smaller, but I'm looking at this, what I had printed out about yarn weights and 0 being the smallest. Maybe there is thinner yarn, but this, or thread, because this to me does not, maybe it would work, but that would be very tricky. This is very, very thin. So I think there might be some thinner thread, and I'm sure there is, than this 0 that I have here. I'm sure there's other brands. Remember we had said how things kind of, just because one is a 4 weight, it could be a little smaller or bigger than another brand or whatever. There's that leeway in between. And so I don't think this hook would be that great for it, and they did not recommend that either. So, but they're saying a 1.25 to a 2.25, but then they also have a little range of a 1.4 to a 2.25. So a 2.25, this is this hook here that I have. And yeah, that would hook on. This was, if I was using this, I would probably use this size. And it would make things a little more drapier, little not so tight, a little more flow. The next size up, and I don't have this yarn, is a number 1 yarn. I don't have any because I don't work with those very thin yarns. But the hook size, they say, you would use a 2.25. You could use up to a 3.25. So on my hooks, what I have is a 2.25. Then the next one I have is a 2.75 and a 3.25. So they're in order. 2.25, 2.75, 3.25. And you can see the hook size is going up, getting a little thicker. But that would work good with super fine yarn. You also have that little bit of a leeway, a little wiggle room that you could go up to a 3.25 with that yarn, is what they're saying. Maybe some people even go up further than that. Could be. But that's what the recommendation is. And this is all personal choice or personal preference. The next weight is fine, which is baby sport or baby. So what that recommendation is a 3.25 to a 3.75. I do have those two hooks here. This is, let's put them this way, 3.25, 3.75. Let's see the dip. Wait a minute here. But you could also go up to, you could use a 4 and a 4.5. Yeah. So you could go up. It's really not saying to go down. Oops. But I'm sure some people have. The next, and I have the yarn, is the lightweight yarn. So that would be DK weight. Oh, here's my DK. And I have this 3 weight yarn. And let's look and see the yarns together. I feel like the DK is just a little thicker. Just a little bit. But we know when we did the gauge to figure out the weights, we know that that's fine. It's what they do. Because is this a worsted? Just looking here. Doesn't say. It's just that ice cream yarn by Lion Brand. But it doesn't say. So we'll just get back to the hooks. So we would use a 3.75. We could use for the lightweight. a 4.5, a 5, all the way up to a 5.5. So there's all these hook size choices here. You get them in order. This is a little tricky. I'm trying to get them all to look the same way and show you guys. This is the smallest. There's the... So that would be, this one is the 3.75, 4.5, 5, 5.5. But that's not to say that you can't go up or down. But as you can see, they go on the hook very nicely. Let me do this way, so that you can grab a hold of that yarn, and even this one, because you need it to be able to grab on without splitting your yarn or anything like that. Okay. The next is the number 4 worsted Afghan yarn, Aran yarn. And that, the hook size recommendation for that would be a 4.5. They were saying to a 5.5, but you can go up higher than that. I don't have my number 6 yarn. It's downstairs in another project. I'm actually doing something. So that would be another hook. It's the brown if you use clover. But I have my 6.5. So it's saying to go up to a 6.5. So here's hook sizes here. That would be for your number 4 yarn, 4 weight yarn. Now, this is just what their recommendations are, but I can tell you, I just did a project about a month ago, and I used a 7 with this yarn. So you know, these are just gauges. You can go up and down. It doesn't, it's our craft. It's not that serious in sizes. This is just kind of giving you an idea. So number 5 yarn is bulky. You can start with a 5.5. The 6, I don't have the 6 with me. A 6.5, a 7, and an 8. So 5, 5.5, 6, 7. So I have here the 5. I don't have the 6, 6.5, 7, and 8. And the bulky yarn works with these very nicely. And, you know, I don't know, maybe you could even use a 9 or a 10. Probably could. These, like I said, just some recommendations. The super bulky, number 6 yarn, they're recommending to use an 8 crochet hook. up to a 12.75. I don't even have that big of a hook. I have an 8, a 9, and a 10. Which one's which? Yeah. 8. This is the 9. These are so hard to read. 9 and a 10. And they work nicely. They hook on good with the super bulky. There's jumbo yarn. I've never bought jumbo, number 7. And a 12.75 up to a 15 hook would work with those. I don't have those. I don't work with anything that big. So, anyway, I just thought I'd kind of show this. I know it wasn't super, I don't know. It's not like I did any fancy stuff with this stuff. It was just very basic, but just to give you an idea of, you know, if you didn't know, a lot of people don't, if they're new. A lot of people will be looking at it like, well, yeah. And like I said, it's all personal preference, and, you know, use what works for you. But there are some guidelines, and I thought it was important that you would know what they are. So, I hope you found it informative. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will check in with you probably tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.